confused with gradual increase of families or households having access to money. World Vision International, Christian Relief and Development Organization, is commended for having expressed their commitment to ending extreme poverty and laying the foundation for every child to experience Jesus' promise of life in all of its fullness, as we can find in John chapter 10 and verse 10. Though eradicating poverty globally is hard, particularly in fragile contexts as ours, World Vision International believes there is reason to express hope. And I am sure you also can agree with us from your experiences in VSLA that we have hope, a hope of defeating poverty in our homes and in our world. Ending extreme poverty is a priority, is a major agenda that each of us have to put before us, not only for World Vision International by 2030, but as part of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, the SDGs. Global leaders aim to eradicate extreme poverty for all people everywhere, including every village of Lantan South and Nigeria. Nigeria had one of the world's highest economic growth rates, averaging 7.4%, according to the Nigeria Economic Report that was released in July 2019 by the World Bank, by the World Bank. Following the oil price collapse in 2014 to 2016, combined with negative production shocks, gross domestic product, the GDP growth rate dropped to 2.7% in 2015. In 2016, during its first recession in 25 years, the economy contracted by 1.6% nationally. 43% of Nigerians, that is about 89 million people, live below the poverty line, while another 25%, that's about 53 million, are vulnerable. For a country with massive wealth and a huge population to support commerce, a well-developed economy, and plenty of natural resources such as oil, steel, large fertile soil, massive rainfall compared to other nations of the world. This level of poverty that we are experiencing in Nigeria remains unacceptable, given all these resources that we have and the advantages that we have. However, poverty may have been overestimated due to the lack of information on the extremely huge informal sector of the economy, estimated at around 60% or more of the current GDP figures. According to 2018 report by the World Bank, almost half the population is living below the international poverty line of $2 per head per day. And unemployment peaked at 23.1%. For every 100 working age Nigerian persons that you bring out, 23 of them are not employed. That is unacceptable. Poverty in Nigeria can be caused by the political instability of the country, However, this persistent poverty, those three reasons include income equality, ethnic conflict, income inequality, ethnic conflict, and political instability. Informal savings groups, and formal financial microfinance institutions are credit facilities established to reduce poverty and encourage entrepreneurship development in rural communities around the world. Informal savings, just like your VSLA, and credit groups in different parts of the country have provided access to credit for rural poor and enhanced family well-being. Apart from sustainability and capacity building for members, what I mean is, apart from the fact that you are able to run your own savings and loans groups without any much training from anybody, no much supervision, is something you are running on your own. That's sustainability. So apart from sustainability and capacity building for members, most of the informal savings groups like the formal financial microfinance institutions operate on a rigid structure, often excluding some people who are not credit worthy to participate in the process. So for financial inclusion, so that everybody anywhere can benefit, formal microfinance institution was initiated to provide credit facility to the rural poor as a means of reducing poverty and encourage entrepreneurial development. To address the mounting challenges with formal and microfinance institutions, and also the problem of accessing these institutions, coupled with the irregular and low income of the rural poor, the Village Savings and Loans Association brought a new innovation in savings and credit groups, which is more sustainable for the rural poor. It provides training on entrepreneurship development program and operates on a flexible structure. This is what Catholic Relief Services has said in their report 2017, and CARE also reported this in 2013. The VSLA is a savings and credit intervention program that has gained popularity in developing countries around the world due to its impact at the rural poor, especially women. This is from Callan et al., 2017, Sibomana and Shkla, 2016. Unlike other saving and credit groups, the VSLA has been found to be a highly standardized setting. The savings groups are flexible and are more sustainable for rural communities. This is from Keslow and Liledo, 2016. In Nigeria, Oxfam worked with partners to implement the VSLA initiative, which directly supported 200,000 small-scale farmers, 50% of whom were women in March 2019. They organized 8,000 village savings and loans groups in Bauchi, Benue, Plateau, Nasarawa, Kebbi, Adamawa, Ibadan, and Taraba states. Currently, the project is benefiting more than 60,000 people organized into over 2,500 groups in over 40 local governments of Benue, Nasarawa, Plateau, Kebbi, and Adamawa states, with equity of over 500 million, a net profit of 17 million naira, and a return on savings of 16.6%. Apart from the savings and loans, the project has facilitated access to agricultural inputs, including fertilizers, seeds, and agrochemicals, and increased their productivity, the productivity of small-scale farmers, in addition to serving as platforms for innovation, peace and conflict resolution, as well as capacity building. Oxfam's target is to reach 1 million beneficiaries by 2023. And we are now keen by our VSLA groups into this particular scheme. ASET Nigeria, in August 2015, through the Systems Transformed for Empowered Action and Enabling Responses for Vulnerable Children and Families, the STEER project, trained and formed 10 VSLA groups in 10 project communities of Lantan South, LGA. By the end of that year, 2 additional groups were formed, making it 12 groups. In 2016, more groups were formed due to the continued awareness and the immense benefits members of the groups were experiencing. In 2018, ASET introduced the VSLA concept in other fields where we work, especially in Akwanga, Nasarawa State, as part of our intervention. In 2021 to 2022, with the support of Tier 4 Nigeria under its Environment and Economic Sustainability Project, ASET Nigeria was able to train and form one more VSLA group in each of Wubang, that's Lantan South, and Jitop in Jos South LGA, that's the popular Meadiko. Also, with the ACARES, that's the APIN project for orphans and vulnerable children, ASET is currently implementing in Mikang, Shendam, and Kwampan. 5 VSLA groups are formed across Kuala, Namu, and Shendam. We cannot also forget the impulse of the United Nations Development Program, Global Environment Facility, Small Grants Program, the GEF, SGP, UNDP project that came essentially operating in Sabongida and in Mabudi, during which the VSLA groups in these 2 communities grew from about 7 to about 46 in just 1.5 years. In Lantan South, there are about 130 groups currently running. That's about 3,900 membership, because each of the groups is about 30 members. While in Akwanga, the groups are gradually increasing. There are 34 functional groups only in Akwanga with 1,020 membership. Each of these groups saves on an average between 1.2 to 1.5 naira at the end of their cycle. ASET Nigeria has also been able to form 2 VSLA groups at the head office, made up of staff of ASET Nigeria head office and other people in the neighborhood of the head office in Jos, which comprises, just like I have said, ASET staff, families, and friends. No doubt, the VSLA has come to stay. Do you agree with me? It has come to stay. And its impact is really huge on families in no small measure. Here in Lantan South alone, there are families that have built good shelter for themselves. There are those that are now engaged in viable agro and other non-farm businesses from the loan they access from the VSLA. Am I right? Families have been able to send their children and work for further studies in higher institutions, handle their medical bills whenever they are sick. Others expand their farmlands, thereby achieving some level of food security in their homes. Do you agree with that? Okay. The era of Guayacat, no money. When we started, that was the language. Guayacat? Guayacat? Yeah. Okay, Bua. Ayachit. There is money now. Oh, can we jam hands for God? Yes. When we started in 2015, the question was, we are not having money to eat. How are you saying we can save every week? Is it possible? That time we asked you, if you follow what we are sharing, it is possible. Do you think you can do it? That was the question we were asking that time. And they said, yes, by the grace of God. And that was very encouraging to me. Today, is it possible? Is it possible? I'm not hearing the other aspect of it. Is it possible? How? By the grace of God. It is more than possible. How? By the grace of God. That songwriter said, it was grace that taught my heart to know. And it is grace that is sustaining me and will lead me home. So God, who by his grace has helped you this far, he will continue to help you until every household is liberated from poverty. Amen. All these were made possible because you and us believed and accepted the VSLA model as a system of saving 9 years ago, as a system of saving, and it has endured for these 9 years. Now, where do we go from here? We in Asset Nigeria believe that we can still come together and do viable businesses as a cooperative. We want to move on to grow beyond VSLA to cooperatives, which promises to give even much higher, quicker access to wealth. What is a cooperative? A cooperative is an autonomous, that is, it is on its own, autonomous association of persons united voluntarily to meet their common economic, social, and cultural needs and aspirations through a jointly owned and democratically controlled enterprise. This is not different from what you already have. Who owns your VSLA? Not be you. Help me ask that question in Tarok. Who owns your VSLA? It is we. Okay? It is not asset that does that give you your constitution. Now you get them for yourself. Now you agree on it. Now you they run them. Is there any asset staff that is on your executive? No. You are doing it yourself. You are putting your money together yourselves. Asset is not giving you anything other than training and making materials available, which you buy with your money. Is that not so? How much is asset taken from you? Please, you are all here as, all of you are here as members. How much is asset taken from you? So it is jointly owned by yourselves. It is run by yourself democratically. So this is not different from what you already have, but a bit more organized and coordinated, where groups come and based on agreed terms to engage in any viable economic ventures of your own choice so that you can push up your profit margin as a cooperative, thereby sustaining cash flow to the various groups involved in the enterprise. It is Asset's desire to see new innovations with our VSLA groups. Instead of over-relying on interest from loans collected, groups can come together and get involved in viable economic enterprises after a thorough market assessment within and outside the LGA. As group leaders come together to consider this idea of cooperative, Asset will provide the necessary consultancy and referral to ensure that this feat is achieved. It is for that reason we have brought